Hi everyone, I'm Jane Golden, the Executive Director of Mural Arts Philadelphia, and I'm really happy to be here today to share our work with all of you. So who is Mural Arts? Well, Mural Arts is a community-based public art program that sits in the intersection of the social, the civic, and the aesthetic. We see firsthand the transformative impact that art has on individuals, communities, and by extension, on the civic life of our city. We are in a city with over 4,000 works of public art created since 1984. And this collection is beloved. And why is that? It's because we value process. We believe deeply that if you use the term public art, it is about building collaborations between the artist and the public. It's about listening to people, respecting people. So the work is an outpouring about them. It's people's struggles, their triumphs, their heroes, their memories, all of it. But cumulatively, this collection is the autobiography of the city of Philadelphia, and that is truly profound. So let's start the presentation. So how did things begin? Well, in 1984, Wilson Goode, our former mayor and our first African-American mayor, created an organization called the Anti-Graffiti Network. But he wanted to combat graffiti in a non-traditional way. So he set up a program where graffiti writers would get paid to help clean up Philadelphia. He knew that many of the graffiti writers liked art, so he created an art division of anti-graffiti, and I was hired to run it. So we flew into action and we started all kinds of after-school programs, summer programs. We even had a cohort of young people who worked full-time year-round. Almost immediately, we started painting murals. And together, we created what is now known as Mural Arts Philadelphia. And when we worked in neighborhoods, we realized that people were longing for beauty and art. Often we heard, listen, the nearest art museum is miles from here, and the only visual stimulation we have are billboards advertising alcohol and tobacco. And we realized, why not ask people what they want? And so we did. And here you see Mount Kilimanjaro, because a group of women had made this trip to Africa and they wanted it on their wall almost more than anything. And that became like a beacon in the community, inspiring a community garden and other civic changes. We were able to see a snapshot of what art could do, and it inspired us to think intentionally and strategically to try to layer in other services to make the impact more robust. We had the really good fortune of working with artist Kent Twitchell, and Kent said that he would come to Philadelphia to do a mural if he could do Dr. J, a very famous basketball player, in a suit because he wanted young people to think beyond sports. This was painted in 1989. I want you to imagine for a minute this wall covered with graffiti, and I want you to sort of take in this transformation. We cleaned the lot, we worked with the neighbors, we painted this mural. It was an amazing experience. But this has never been touched. The way the mural looks today is the way it looked in 1989. So for me, it means our work transcends time. It stays strong over years. This is the Peace Wall in Grace Ferry, in an area where all communication between white and black residents had shut down. And yet, in spite of that, this mural was able to pull people together in ways that defied expectation. People started to talk to us, and then to each other. It was a unifying experience. And then we started doing one mural after the next. Here we have Jackie Robinson sliding into home, breaking the race barrier. What a powerful image this is. The woman who owns the home said, "Every day I come out and I see Jackie on my wall is a day I sense my potential." And then this landmark mural came about. And look at this, 8 stories tall. The young people are from the school across the street. It's called Common Threads because it connects the past and the present. But when you look up, especially at Tamika, the 8-story figure there, you can't help but think about the fact that this is giving kids the dignity and respect they truly deserve. And look how it sits in that site so beautifully. Look how the artist used the brick, used the building to her advantage. This is Meg Salikman. And I want to say that this mural is one of the most revered murals in our city. People come from all over the world to see it. And then we have Steve Powers' work. Steve was a graffiti writer who became a very famous artist. He did 50 murals, all about love that you can see from the L train in our city. And look at our numbers. How many artists are employed, or our reach, or the amount of funding that we inject into the creative economy every year. You know, as someone who is a fan of the WPA in our country in the 1930s when the federal government really supported the arts, I am delighted by the fact that we are employing artists and paying them well and letting them know they have real value in our society. Here are our core focus areas: youth development, criminal justice reform, wellness, environmental justice, civic discourse, and capacity building. And this is our mission statement, that we believe that art ignites change, and we do. But you can see we're always thinking about people, place, and practice. And how do we use our work in the service of a more just and equitable city? So how do we achieve this? Well, we really value being responsive. We are working all the time to build relationships and partnerships, and we're thinking about the practice. We think about the work we do here in Philly on an individual basis, and quite honestly, and this is why I'm so happy to be talking to all of you, we think about the field. We listen carefully. We identify needs and opportunities. We collaborate. We bring people together. We have to muster the patience and the will to listen, to sift through difficult conversations, to understand that the work might be a lightning rod for many other issues the community or the city is grappling with. We imagine together and we co-create so that when Philadelphians go by many of these works of art, they can say to themselves, I helped create that. And we celebrate. Never forget celebrating. Appreciate the wins and the victories, because it's always so joyful. So now I'm going to take you through the different divisions at Mural Arts. So we're going to start with community murals and civic discourse. This is one of our oldest divisions at Mural Arts, and it's one that I just personally love. People can apply for a mural. Artists can come to us with an idea. Everyone from the mayor on down will have an idea in mind. Here, we worked with the AME Church, and we did a mural about the prominent minister and educator, Richard Allen. This is by Willis Nomo Humphrey. You know, in America, we learn history, and it's very skewed. And we talk about Black history, but Black history is American history. And we understand that not enough people know about it. So the murals inevitably become invaluable teaching tools. This is by photographer Sean Theodore. And I put this in because I wanted you to think about placemaking and how it just doesn't have to be a painted mural, that it also can be a photograph, it could be a scrim. There are many ways of impacting place. And then we have murals that are really very political in nature. And that's good too. We should always be relevant and current with the times. This is by Ian Pierce, an artist from Santiago, Chile. He did this just as our former President Trump started separating families at the border. And then we do huge underpasses, overpasses, you name it, unusual sights. All of this is part of our palette. This is part of a beautiful project by Josh Sarantitis and Patrick Dower. The underpass is 200 feet long and 30 feet high. And here we have a beautiful, beautiful image at a school. I don't know about you, but where we are, too many of the schools look like prisons, and we say change it. This project is part of our Environmental Justice Division. This is where we think about how we bring together young people and the community and create healing spaces for school kids. This is Trash Academy. This too is part of our environmental justice program. This part deals with climate justice, and we regularly engage young people and seniors, adults, everybody, cross generations, through leadership opportunities, events, game playing, grassroots organizing, in both creative and meaningful ways. And then we do really large spaces in the city. Here is a space that we paint every year. You can see it's giant. It's by Brad Carney, and it's called The Oval. And for me, this is an interesting part of placemaking, because this is just a concrete area that is reclaimed every summer and turned into an outdoor park. There are movies, there's music, you can get something to eat, you can play games. It's really about how do we re-enliven and transform public space and make it equitable and for everyone. Well, in art education, we serve young people ages 11 through 18, And then we have alumni programs. We believe that young people should have really substantive opportunities that are sustained over long periods of time. We're at many sites throughout the city, but in order to reach more kids, we need to be innovative and creative. And one of the ways we do this is through our Murals on the Move program. Here you can see our beautiful mural mobile. We also didn't want kids to go last summer without art opportunities, so we just set up shop everywhere. We have something in Philadelphia called a play street, where we block off the street and we have all kinds of activities during the summer. So we were at 350 play streets. We wanted to make sure that kids had a great summer, even in the midst of a pandemic. And we want our murals to be meaningful. For us, art education is really project-based learning. We want young people to know they can have an idea and they can bring it to fruition in a really powerful way. So this is called Migrant Imaginary by an artist named Lunar New Year, but it also has a technology component where there are QR codes here and you can hear the dreams that the kids have. Again, this is part of a larger program of study where young people are really involved in the creation of the image. And here we have one that I have to admit is one of my favorites. This is by artist Amy Sherald. She was open to our bringing young people to her studio in Hoboken, New Jersey. Young people had a curriculum that really analyzed Amy's work, her style, her choice of color, why she paints, what moves her and inspires her. More importantly, this 8-story work of art sits in the center of our city and is a beacon. Think about it. This is a young person of color looking out at the city in a way that is so inspiring. We also do projects about youth voice and activism. We want young people to know that they can make a difference in the world. We want them to know that they can make a mark on our city, and it really matters. And so here we worked with Ursula Rucker and Chip Thomas to create this work of art. We also had a companion magazine with poetry that was collected from all the young people that worked on this project. And now let's go to our Porch Light program. And we use the word porch light because of the way art can have a luminous impact on people's lives. We work in immigrant and new refugee communities. This is artist Simone Salib. We have hub spaces where we take over an empty business and we open a community art center. And here at Southeast by Southeast, we work with people from Southeast Asia. And then look at this beautiful work of art by Shira Walensky that has 47 languages on it, really capturing the breadth and depth and wonder of this very, very diverse community. And we also have a hub space in Northeast Philadelphia where we're working with women from Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan. In Kensington, a part of our city just torn apart by the heroin crisis, we have opened a hub space where we're seeing close to 1,000 people a month. Here we offer all kinds of programs, not just art programs, but also social services. This has a therapeutic benefit to the whole community. The hub spaces are critical because it is a way of embedding ourselves in neighborhoods longer. Here we are at work transforming parks. This is part of a trust project where we did a crowdsourced poem in English and Spanish. Here we worked with people struggling with addiction to create this beautiful work of art and worked with internationally known artist Swoon. And then our Color Me Back program is a same-day work program where we work with people facing housing insecurity. Not only do we pay people every day, but we try to identify the barriers to employment and help them with all kinds of services so people can move forward. And at the same time, people are transforming our public transportation concourse in really meaningful ways. As people's lives change, they are changing the look of our city. And then our criminal justice practice is called Restorative Justice because we believe in order to restore the soul of our city, we all have to come together. We work with people in the state prison. They work on a parachute cloth. We take the cloth out and we put it up on walls throughout the city. This is Russell Craig, who was at a state prison where we've been working for many years, who got out and is now becoming rapidly a very well-known artist. This is on the side of our municipal services building. And then in 2008, we created a program for people coming home from prison where we train people, give them opportunities, all kinds of workshops, and pay people. It's a pre-apprenticeship program, and we have a very low recidivism rate. That means people are not getting in trouble again, and we have a high rate of employment. Here we have Eric Oakday's beautiful, meaningful piece about the impact of prison on families, and the QR codes allow you to listen to the voices of people truly impacted by the system. This is with the Barnes Foundation, a really wonderful museum in the city of Philadelphia, internationally renowned, actually. The teachers go into the prison and talk about the Barnes collection. It really makes art come to life for people who will not step foot in a museum. This was painted behind the walls of a state facility, and it's called a still life because the men said before they were introduced to art, their lives were quite still. So these kinds of partnerships are truly invaluable. This is the Mural Arts Institute, and I hope you all call the Mural Arts Institute to work with them because they are awesome. The Mural Arts Institute serves artists, placemakers, placekeepers, designers, municipalities, institutions, and more. We host programs that are focused on artistic practices and conversations with folks practicing community-engaged art making and radical collaboration. Look, if we can transform how our city values art and creative practices, we can help others catalyze this kind of transformation where they are. I mean, what we're seeing across the country and across the world is there's a clamoring for this kind of work. There is a hunger for it. And we believe that art can be useful. And the Institute is advancing not just work in individual cities, but really lifting up the field. What does change look like? Well, continued action and advocacy on key issues, sustained local stewardship. You want to be able to do work that lasts. Think about improvements in people's lives. Set your goals up very clearly, and always think of broad support for artists. And what is the strategy? What kind of systems change do you want? How do you move the needle? There's a word that I really love, and that word is generative. And that means everything we do should lead to something else, should lead to something else. So much of the work that we have done continues on in one shape or another and now has nothing to do with mural arts, but everything to do with art and the power that art has. So what does it take to do this work? Well, it's really complicated. So know that it takes time and be patient with yourself. Do research, know about where you were working. Context really matters, right? Build relationships. Go slowly. Honor people's stories. Put people right at the center. And just remember that art matters. This work is invaluable. And as public space increasingly gets ceded to private interests, remember that this is a way of putting a stake in the ground and saying your life counts, you matter. We have an informal motto at Mural Arts, and that motto is that art ignites change. And I believe that with all my heart. Why? Because I have witnessed that for the last 30 years, and that just makes my heart sing. So stay on course, continue doing your good work, and know you can count on Mural Arts for information anytime. Thank you.